The saga drags on, and the uncertainty around the future of one of the team's biggest stars continues to dominate the conversation. His contract remains untouched, unsigned, and unresolved, and everyone's waiting for that domino to finally fall. The front office hasn't pushed the pace, negotiations haven't picked up steam, and fans are left reading between the lines. Again, we've seen this before. This isn't new. The team has made a habit of slow playing major extensions, even when the writing's already on the wall. They wait, delay, hesitate, and more often than not, they squeeze every second out of the clock before finally getting a deal done. But this time feels different. Not necessarily worse, just more frustrating. There's genuine mutual interest. In an agreement, the organization values this player. They know his worth. They've prepared themselves financially for this exact moment. The resources are there. The willingness, that's the question. Because even though the player and his camp are open to talks, those conversations haven't progressed. And you start to wonder, are we going down that same road again? The one where time drags, pressure builds, and the deal only happens when it absolutely has to. If it happens at all, let's be real. This player is elite. He's earned this next deal. He's delivered on the field. He's become a face of the franchise. And the market has already spoken. Comparable stars at his position are getting paid, and the numbers are rising fast. Contracts that once felt massive are now the baseline. And yet here we are watching the team do what it always does. Wait, for what? A bargain, a miracle, maybe just out of habit. In recent history, the front office has repeatedly rewarded top talent, but rarely in a timely manner. The process always seems clunky, as if urgency is an optional feature they forgot to install. They understand what the market demands, they just don't move at its pace. Instead, they stretch these negotiations into the summer, sometimes all the way to the brink of training camp, knowing full well that the fan base is growing restless and that delaying only invites more risk, both financial and cultural. Because make no mistake, these aren't just numbers, they're statements. A contract of this magnitude says, you're our guy, we're building around you. Delays say the opposite. And while supporters can be patient for a while, there's a limit. There always is. What makes this whole situation even more maddening is that this shouldn't be complicated. Not with this player, not with this resume, not with the cap space available. This is a deal that should have been done weeks ago, maybe even months ago. Everyone already knows it's going to be a record-setting contract. Everyone, the player knows, the team knows, the league knows. It's not a secret, and it's not some drawn-out negotiation over a few million here or there. This is about timing, pride, and maybe, just maybe, an outdated belief from the front office that the longer they wait, the more leverage they have. But leverage against what? The market's not going to slow down. It's only heating up. Back at the start of the offseason, there was a clear market value set. One player at this position signed a deal worth $35 million per year, becoming the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. That was the standard for about 5 minutes. Since then, that number's been eclipsed. Not once, not twice, but 4 separate times. The current leader is sitting north of $40 million annually, with massive guaranteed money attached. And those guarantees, they matter. They shape the structure, the stability, and the commitment both sides are making. The player in question isn't just looking for a big number, he's looking for security, respect, legacy. If the team wants to stretch this into a 5-year deal, we're talking about a total package north of $200 million. That's quarterback money, but that's what the market dictates now. It's not fantasy, it's fact. And the longer they wait, the more normalized those astronomical figures become. By the time this gets done, $45 million a year might not even be outrageous anymore. So why delay? Why make this more complicated than it has to be? One possible reason being floated is that the team wants to see the player take on more of a leadership role, that they're testing his commitment, his maturity, his presence. But what does that even mean? Leadership doesn't sign contracts. Production does. The player has already proven his worth. He's earned every penny coming his way. If there was once an understanding between both sides, that agreement needs to evolve, just like the market has. The baseline number everyone was talking about a few months ago is already obsolete. This is the new reality, and if the team wants to pretend otherwise, they're going to find themselves in a bad spot very soon. Because waiting won't drive the price down. It only amplifies the tension, increases the cost, and makes the player feel like a second option, even if he's the centerpiece. Meanwhile, another intriguing development is unfolding. Reports of mutual interest between the team and a familiar face who was once a key part of this offense. Earlier, there were whispers that the team was monitoring his situation. Now those whispers have turned into real conversation. He's open to coming back. They're open to having him back. But, and it's a big but, the team isn't willing to break the bank. Not for him. Not now. This is a player who's already made nearly $140 million in his career. He knows his value. He's not going to take a minimum deal just to reunite. But here's where things get interesting. The market is dry. The options are limited. And while he's no longer the explosive, dominant receiver he once was, there's still gas in the tank. If he can stay healthy, play around 14 games, he could absolutely fill a WR2 role, at least for one more season. Let's not forget his best years came with this team, alongside the current quarterback. That chemistry is still there. And although his production dipped last season, there were circumstances. Injuries, a mid-season trade, quarterback changes, all of it contributed. He was never going to put up huge numbers in that environment. But he flashed. He showed he can still make plays. And at this stage, with this roster, you can't afford to ignore that kind of upside. So here's the question. Is it worth it? Should they bring him back on a one-year deal? Maybe something around $5 million with incentives built in? That feels reasonable. That feels smart. Because the alternatives, they're not great. The free agent pool is thin. Trade options are expensive and messy. And doing nothing, just rolling with what you've got. That's a risk this team can't afford to take. Not if they're serious about competing this year. On top of all that, more contract details have emerged surrounding undrafted players signed after the draft. It's always fascinating to see how teams structure these deals, especially which players get the largest signing bonuses and guaranteed money. That tells you everything you need to know about how they're valued internally. One player received a guarantee and bonus that strongly suggests he's being penciled in for the practice squad. Another got significantly more, the kind of money that implies he'll be battling for a roster spot come training camp. It's supply and demand. The guys who received higher guarantees were the ones multiple teams were chasing. Simple as that. A safety who went undrafted ended up getting more guaranteed money than another player at the same position. An indication that the team believes he can contribute, perhaps even carve out a special teams role. And then there's always the wild card, the player with almost no guarantees at all. Minimal bonus, minimal commitment. That usually means they bombed their interviews or raised red flags somewhere along the line. These little financial clues are how we, on the outside, decode the team's priorities. It's not just about who gets signed, it's about how much confidence the front office has in them from day one. And that trickles all the way up to the top, because the same philosophy that governs undrafted deals, weighing risk versus reward, projecting upside, evaluating commitment, also applies to the massive contract sitting on the desk, still unsigned. The team has a chance to show they believe in their guy, to step up, lead from the front, and reward the cornerstone of their franchise. But instead, they're hesitating, posturing, waiting. And while they do, the clock keeps ticking. The market keeps climbing. The pressure keeps building. And eventually, they'll have to decide, is this player truly worth betting the future on? At some point, someone's got to blink. That's the reality of these negotiations. Either the team steps forward and makes the kind of commitment that shows they're serious about contending, or the player decides to hold out, call their bluff, and force their hand. Because we've reached that moment, the one where everyone knows what's fair, what's coming, and what needs to happen, yet nothing gets done. The fans aren't blind to it. They see the posturing, they hear the leaks, the rumors, the carefully crafted quotes from press conferences. They know when a team is stalling, and they also know what happens when great players feel disrespected. That's the danger now. Not just missing the window to lock down an elite talent, but alienating a player who has given everything to this franchise. That's how relationships fracture. That's how locker rooms get tense, and once you start heading down that path, it's hard to find your way back. Right now, the only thing standing between the team and a fully united locker room is the signature on a piece of paper. That's it. No trade demands. No off-field issues. Just a player asking to be paid what he's worth in a market that keeps rising by the day. Every delay sends a message, even if unintentional, that maybe he's not as valued as he thought. And that's a dangerous message to send, especially when this player is a tone setter, a leader, someone others in the building look up to. And this isn't happening in a vacuum. Every other star in the league is watching too. Players talk, agents talk. If this front office builds a reputation for dragging his feet or lowballing foundational players, that reputation spreads. Suddenly the team becomes less attractive in free agency. Suddenly players start asking for no trade clauses. Suddenly you're not just negotiating with your own guys. You're negotiating against your own history. On the other hand, a deal done right now sends the opposite message. It shows decisiveness. It shows leadership. It shows the league that this franchise takes care of its own. That's how you build trust, how you become a destination, how you create stability. And that's what's needed, not just for the short term, but for the long haul. Because let's not forget, the championship window is open right now, not next year, not 5 years from now, today. And every decision the team makes or doesn't make impacts that window. Signing this player isn't just about cap numbers or yearly averages. It's about identity. It's about direction. It's about proving that this team is serious about winning and isn't afraid to pay the price that comes with it. There's always a price. Whether it's money, draft capital, or patience, championship teams always pay it. They take the calculated risks, they trust their evaluations, and they commit when the moment calls for it. And this is one of those moments. This player isn't just a cog in the machine. He's the engine. You don't let that guy walk. You don't slow play him like he's interchangeable. You show him and everyone else that he's irreplaceable. Meanwhile, the wide receiver situation is still lingering in the background. The mutual interest with the former standout remains a compelling subplot, and it's only getting more intriguing as time passes. With the draft now behind us and no receiver taken early, that door is wide open. And as the calendar flips into May, the urgency increases. The team doesn't have many veteran options left on the board, and there's a clear hole on the depth chart. One injury could unravel the whole offensive game plan. That's the reality. So bringing back a guy who knows the system, knows the quarterback, and knows what it takes to produce in this league makes a lot of sense. Yes, he's older. Yes, the explosiveness isn't what it once was. But what he brings in terms of experience, route running, locker room presence, that stuff still matters, especially when the stakes are high. He might not be the elite version of himself anymore, but he doesn't have to be. He just needs to be reliable, consistent, available. That's all this team needs from a second receiver right now. Someone who can line up, catch 6 passes for 70 yards, and convert on third down. That's not asking for the moon. That's asking for professionalism. And this player still has it. The key, of course, will be the money. A 1-year incentive-heavy deal in the $5 million range feels like the sweet spot. It gives the team flexibility and gives the player a chance to bet on himself. If he produces, he gets rewarded. If not, no long-term damage. And in the meantime, it gives the offense a security blanket while younger players develop. The wild card here is the market. Right now, it's thin. Other teams are sniffing around, but no one's pulling the trigger. If the team waits too long, they could miss their chance. Or worse, they could force themselves into an overpay. That's the danger of indecision. Opportunities don't wait. You either act or someone else will. Which brings us back to the big picture. Where is this team going? What message are they trying to send? Because so far, the message has been mixed. On one hand, they're trying to build a championship roster full of young talent and experienced leadership. On the other, they're hesitating when it comes to securing the very players who can get them there. The same pattern we see in undrafted free agent signings. The precision, the strategy, the balance of risk and reward needs to be applied at the top of the roster, because that's where championships are won. Not just in the draft room, but in the negotiation room. That's where you build a foundation that holds up when the pressure's on. You want to win big games in January? It starts with decisions. In May, you want to be in the conversation every year. It starts with the moves you make when no one's watching. This moment right now is one of those moves. It might not feel huge, it might not grab headlines, but the ripple effects, they're massive. Pay your stars, add veterans who know how to win. Don't overthink it. Don't play hard to get. Just get it done, because if you don't, someone else will. And then you're the team that almost had it right. The team that almost built a contender. The team that almost paid its best player before it was too late. Don't be that team. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In a move that has sent ripples of excitement through the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys have secured one of the most dominant defensive players in the game today, Fred Warner. The 27-year-old linebacker, who has established himself as a force to be reckoned with on the field, joins the Cowboys in what many are calling the start of a new era for the team. With Warner's addition, Dallas aims to bolster its defensive unit and create a foundation for sustained success in the coming years. Warner, who was drafted by the San Francisco 49ers in 2018, quickly became one of the league's premier linebackers. His elite athleticism, intelligence, and leadership have made him an indispensable asset to his previous team. In his tenure with the 49ers, Warner was a key figure in their Super Bowl live run and was named to multiple Pro Bowls. His ability to read the game, make pivotal tackles, and cover ground quickly has set him apart as one of the top defenders in the NFL. The Cowboys, who have long been a team in search of defensive stability, have made it clear that they are intent on making a push for the top of the NFC. With a loaded roster on offense, the missing piece for the Cowboys in recent years has been a defense that can consistently deliver in clutch moments. With Fred Warner now in the fold, the team's defense instantly becomes more formidable. His leadership, both on and off the field, will be invaluable for a unit that has seen its fair share of inconsistency in recent seasons. Warner's addition isn't just about his individual talent. His leadership and presence are expected to have a ripple effect throughout the locker room. Known for his calm demeanor and ability to motivate his teammates, Warner will undoubtedly be a stabilizing force in a Cowboys defense that has undergone numerous changes in recent years. His experience in big game situations will also be crucial as Dallas looks to make a deep playoff run and ultimately capture its first Super Bowl in over 2 decades. The Cowboys' decision to bring in Warner is a clear signal of their ambition. It's a message to the rest of the league that Dallas is not content with merely competing for playoff spots, but is focused on championship contention. Warner's versatility, able to stop the run, cover receivers, and rush the passer, will give defensive coordinator Dan Quinn a myriad of options to work with, making the Cowboys' defense much more unpredictable and dynamic. This move marks a pivotal moment for the Cowboys, a team that has experienced plenty of highs and lows over the years. With Warner at the helm of the defense, Dallas now has a player who can anchor their defense for years to come. The question now is whether this move will finally be the catalyst the Cowboys need to return to the NFL's elite ranks. One thing is for certain. The arrival of Fred Warner in Dallas has injected a new sense of hope and excitement into the Cowboys faithful. The dawn of a new era has officially begun. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.